to Zero to Hero, Become an AI ProPilot mentorship. We are thrilled to have you on board as we embark on this exciting 8-week journey to unlock the true potential of AI. Throughout this program, you will gain hands-on experience and in-depth knowledge integrating Microsoft Copilots seamlessly into your workflow to boost work quality and efficiency. By the end of this mentorship, you will be equipped with cutting-edge AI tools to boost your productivity and innovation. We are excited to see how you use these tools to transform your daily work, and we are excited to prepare you for the future, a future with AI. Join us. All right, this is lesson 6, number 6 of the Zero to Hero Mentorship Become an AI Pro Pilot. On this run, we are looking at the various copilots or AI features of Power Platform and how they can help us, support us in our day-to-day routine of creating amazing business solutions, not only apps, but solutions overall. Today, I don't have a slide deck, and the reason why I don't have a deck is because I want to make this as much hands-on as possible. So as I mentioned last week, and you witnessed those that were attending lesson 6 live, you saw me kind of juggle through different screens to make sure I delivered content. And the reason why it was a bit chaotic is because I like doing live presentations. I don't like recording. So that puts me at risk of failure every time, but I love the adrenaline. So we'll do the same today. The goal of this lesson is for us to dive into Power Apps Plan Designer. So this was announced back in October during the Power Platform Community Conference. Maybe you can give me a show of hands if you heard about it, if you saw a demo, maybe a video, maybe a comment on LinkedIn. If you can either raise your hand or show me in reaction whether or not you've been exposed to it. Let's see. Not a whole lot of people. Maybe Mark. Okay, we got one. All right. So one of you of 18 folks have heard about it. So we'll dive deep into it. So it was announced back in the Power Platform Community Conference by Ryan Cunningham. He's the VP of Dataverse and other products within Power Platform. And I think a week or two later, Microsoft started the private preview. So what you're about to see is technically transitioning from private preview into public preview. And you may have questions as how you can get your hands into it, and we'll address those questions towards the end of the presentation, okay? So I have a developer environment. This environment is based in the US, and I am running the maker experience under the preview URL. So anytime you want to explore what's available in public preview, you can always navigate to make.preview.powerapps.com, and you get to experience some of the features that are still getting ready and baked to go live. Okay, so this is what I have here. Again, my developer environment is based out of the US. I am running the make.preview powerapps.com, and I have installed a solution file that Microsoft made available a few weeks back, which is this a Power Apps Plan Gen. So you wouldn't see this type of presentation or even this new Power Apps experience if you didn't have some of these components or you're not accessing the preview site, okay? So because I have installed that solution, and I assume Microsoft is going to make that package um, pre-configured when you provision environments, I have access to this particular feature. So the first thing I will do is I'm going to take a prompt that I have crafted before this presentation. Actually, before I go there, let me show you a couple more things that I have done in this environment. So I created my own solution, all right? And it has the my own publisher, and therefore I have some settings that are applicable to the solution. I made my solution the preferred solution so that any components that I create within the newer experience, they will be set up to land in this solution file. Another thing that I want to show you that it's a little bit outside of the context of this presentation, but it's important to highlight, is this new feature. You can now add a solution or solutions within an environment to Git directly. So I can click connect to Git. I can select the solution that I want. I can select the organization. What this does, it just pulls a list of projects that I have available within DevOps that are associated to my profile. I'm going to select one just so that we can show the rest of the stuff. There is a repo, and there may be a folder. There's a folder attached to it, or I can type the folder, and I would have full integration between this solution and my Git repo. To the extent that changes that I want to promote there, I'll be able to do it from here. Again, not the context of our presentation today, but for folks that do ALM and they want to step away from the DevOps setup of ALM pipeline, that is, with Dataverse, you can do it straight from the Maker portal moving forward. And there's documentation available if you want to explore this further. Okay, little extra gift there for you. All right, let me go back to the home page of the Maker experience. Again, I'm gonna grab a prompt that I have previously created, and I'm gonna throw that right over here. So the prompt is super simple. It says, create an app to manage employee work logs, including multiple tables for employees, supervisors, daily work logs, approval workflows, and department. So picture in your head that you are about to attend a meeting, maybe the first meeting with your client, and this is what they have provided as far as information about the project. You don't want to show up empty-handed. You don't want to go to that kickoff meeting and waste a bunch of time trying to paint a picture to show your customers what an application would look like when built using Power Platform components. You can use this particular feature to get ahead, okay? So we are going to submit this prompt, and guess what? You have a new interface. This new interface is called Power Apps Plan Designer. I don't like that they have tagged this particular feature with Power Apps, because I believe this is a lot more than just building an app, okay? There is a lot more juice here than just an app. So you'll notice that it changed the name of my plan and inferred to my prompt to come up with a name. And then it's starting to detail what is required, or what are the details or user roles or personas that will be using my application. So we'll have an employee, supervisor, and HR administrator. Now it's inferring to, again, the problem statement, and then coming up with a lot of details. Okay, I can click on to change and say, for example, this looks good in terms of employee interaction. That's okay. Supervisor information is fine. Maybe not. Maybe I will add a little bit more to the roles and responsibilities of a supervisor. And what I want to add is maybe I'll say supervisors, they can also submit a forecast, overtime forecast on behalf of employees. Okay, so that is what I will tell. And again, if you do this with your customer, if your customer is working on these details alongside of you, you can always review this with the customer and then add details as you have more information. All right, so it added a little bit more responsibility to my supervisor, and I would assume because I stated that supervisors have to inform HR administrators about potential overtime needs, that another task or responsibility is added also to the administrator, HR administrator, that is. Okay. I can choose to accept that, and I will. Or if I need to add additional stuff, I could add it. I could indicate that there is another role that is needed for this particular solution. But for now, I'll say that this is cool, that this is good information. It's moving forward and then looking at a table, a model, a database model to support my solution. Okay. While it's doing this, I will copy this content and I'm gonna go to ChatGPT, and this is what I will tell GPT. Let me throw the contents there, and because the particular scenario I painted was that I am preparing to visit a customer that's contracting or hiring my company to provide this particular solution. I don't want to show up with just the Power Platform plan. Maybe I want to show up with a more robust set of documentation that includes some of the PMI assets, some of the PMI documentation. So I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me out there. So my prompt is, I'm telling GPT who I am, and what we do as a business and what I want a GPT to do. Notice that I didn't clean up a whole lot of the content that I copied from Power Platform, but it's okay for today's example. Maybe you want to refine it on your real life engagement with your customer. But I'm going to submit this, and we are then going to use, we should have gone to a tool, called Canva. I presented this on the first lesson. And now I can work in conjunction um, with ChatGPT to generate robust documentation for my meeting. So it's going through objectives, it's going through scope, um, the key stakeholders. Even though I didn't inform, at least I have placeholders here to populate. User roles and requirements, again, looking at the information that I provided as part of the prompt, deliverables, strengths, blah, blah, blah. Let's wait to see where it lands. All right, I think it's done for now. And this could be enough for the first meeting, or maybe I could extend it and say, okay, let's expand the timeline section with a table including detailed timeline, resources, approvals, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm giving again another reminder that this is a Power Platform based project. I could add details about who the developers are, who the PMs are for ChatGPT to review the details of the document. Okay. Again, I'm pairing up two different technologies. I'm using Plan Designer to generate the assets in Power Platform, and then coming back to ChatGPT to help me draft documents that I can include as part of the project documentation. I could ask GPT to create me a project charter, so on and so forth, to create me maybe a risk management log. It really depends on what you need for your project, but I'm showing how you can pair up different technologies to achieve a good result. So It's now writing the proposed schedule. Perfect. I could say that this is good. Then I can copy all of it, add it to a Word document, and move on from there. I've tried this exercise using Word Copilot, Microsoft Word Copilot, and I didn't get as refined results. Again, I think it's because of the GPT model that I'm using here compared to what Word offers. So you can play with the tools that you have available and see what results you can get in either tag. Okay, so I have enough documentation, guys, enough juice to go into a meeting, like a kickoff meeting. I can transform this into documentation that can be presented to the customer or hand this over potentially to the project manager that's going to be involved with this project for that particular resource to further extend the details of my documentation, right? So let's go back here to Plan Designer. So it's now done with the data details, and you notice that it came up with 5 tables. We can click to show details, and you're going to see a very familiar screen here. All right, so here you have individual tables. I can click the 3 dots and see details about this table, the name, description. I can extend it and see what is the schema name. You see that it's using my ProPilot prefix because my solution is the preferred solution in this environment. Okay, you got to do that first. And in fact, this is the first thing that I do on every single project that I work on. It's to create and set a preferred solution. Unfortunately, you can't change much here on the designer. It's all locked, but you have access to kind of have a preview of what your data structure will look like. So you can view data. Here's the sample data that it will create for you. The relationships, you can click to edit. Again, it's all locked in this view. Okay, I can go back and I could say, I want to save my plan. All right, when you save a plan, let's see if it's already showing here. You notice that it's loading your list of plans in this screen. So you see a lot of it moving forward. Okay, you have a list of plans as you get working on it. All right, so assuming that my table structure is good, I can click save, or I can provide changes to the data structure. So I will tell Plan Designer that I need to add a location table. Please add a location table as my company. In this case, my customer's company has multiple offices around the world. We'll execute it, and you see that a new table will pop up. While it's doing that, I see that there is a question here from Starkey. Is Plan Designer and integration to get available to anyone in the US? I have such developer environment, but I'm not seeing it. Git should be available to anyone in the US. Plan Designer is not yet available. And I'll go through the details when we get closer to the end of this presentation. All right, I now have the location table. Let's click again on the table, the data workspace to have a look at what this table looks like. There is sample data there. And because there is a relationship here, I can check if this particular table has come into other tables as a foreign key or as a reference. Let's look at supervisor. Yeah, we can see that we have that as a lookup field, and it's all good to go. I like what I see, so I will save my tables. So next here, what Plan Designer is doing is it's looking again at the problem statement, it's looking at the tables that were created, and then it's creating applications and theoretically Power Automate flows to support this solution. Okay. Now, when we get to the end of it, you'll notice that there will be some gaps in the application, maybe some fields missing, maybe you want to change data types and whatnot. But even if the solution, if even if 70 to 75% of the solution is still useful at the end of this process, you can measure the amount of time that we saved here in this exercise. I mean, there is just no way that I would be able to create 7 tables, define all attributes, and come up with sample data in a matter of minutes or even seconds. All right. So this is a great starting point for a project or for even for refining an existing solution, to use Plan Designer to create the data structure for you instead of you having to do that manually. And then when you extend it to model-driven apps and Canvas apps, I mean, there is just no way you can do all of it in 5 minutes. Okay. So let's scroll down a bit here. You see that it created a number of different objects, or it is suggesting a number of different objects for us. One being employee work log app. By the icon here on the side, you can tell that this is a Canvas app, right? And then to the side there, you have the work log notification flow. Again, looking at the icon, this is a Power Automate flow. These blocks, they represent model-driven applications. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, you can reveal it and see if you like what is displayed here. I never clicked. Oh, this is the table designer. Okay, never mind. All right. Let's move forward, I guess, and say accept. And let's wait to see what kind of magic it does. Okay, look how fast it's showing these components. Now, don't let it fool you thinking that it created all apps that fast. For apps and flows, you have to click the plus sign to create them. So if you know that you're going to use a Canvas app for employee work log management, you go ahead then and click plus. This is going to pop up the Canvas apps designer, and it's going to take its time to complete the work here. So let's go back to Plan Designer. I will leave the Power Automate workflow to the very end, and we're going to click plus on these other ones. Click back. Which there was an option to create them all. That way we wouldn't need to go back and forth between these two. All right, let's see which ones have been completed. So this one is done now. And the data, the model-driven apps are still loading. So let's have a look at the Canvas app application. We can click to run. And maybe let's click on work log. So you see a list of work log, very simple app, similar to what you would get if you're starting a new app from the maker site and indicating the tables that you want to use on that app. But you see that everything's wired. It's a great starting point for what you're trying to provide. I'm assuming that you'd make changes to it, maybe brand it according to what your customer preference is, maybe changing the position of a few fields, hiding some unnecessary fields. But again, this is the end goal. I don't think was perfection, but to have you really hit the ground running. Okay, so that is the Canvas app. Let's see if we have model driven apps. Not yet. While it's loading, let's go back to Plan Designer. And then this is the part that some of you will be disappointed. Okay. When we click on the Power Automate flow, I would assume that there was enough information in the Plan Designer to create a flow. But I don't think that particular part of the integration, between Plan Designer, AI, and Power Automate is done yet. Okay, so all you get here is a navigation to the Cloud Flows area of your solution. So there isn't any automation from Plan Designer into Power Automate just yet. I believe that's the plan. But you could use Power Automate Copilot to create your flows as we demonstrated last week. Okay. So again, don't get sad yet. I think it's coming. Not only Cloudflow's creation from Plan Designer, but I would assume that also Power Pages portals and even Copilot agents would be provisioned from this place. Okay, let's see if these apps. Oops, click the wrong option. Let me share again. Let me make sure I move this guy somewhere that I don't mistakenly click on again. All right, so this is gonna take its time, I think. Okay, no, there is one model-driven app that is here. Let's take a look at the components that it generated. So we have a very simple view with the list of supervisors. Let's see what it has done with forms. Okay, this is also simple, and having experience with the Copilot for Dataverse, where you create a data structure, I know that that particular Copilot also extends the custom fields into views and forms. So I would assume that that part of the automation is coming also in the next few weeks, where that there are more fields to the supervisor form. Why not? Copilot hasn't really added the fields here to the forms. So that's what I'm talking about, and I believe that's gonna come. Sorry, Douglas, did you have a question? All right. Let's keep on going here. So it created the apps for us. Again, it's not really extending. Come on, what happened? Much of the details. Maybe I'm going too fast. Also, we can wait and see at the very end if it's composing some of the UI. Yeah, it's still going, still generating information. Work logs. Do we have work logs now? Let's wait. Come on. Yeah, it's still generating the data. But yeah, so that is the idea. From problem statement, you identify persona associated with that particular statement. Then it creates the data structure. From the data structure, it creates the apps or automation that you need for your project. Okay. Cool thing again is that you can always come back to the home page and your plans would be available here. One thing that we didn't get a chance to see it as part of the private preview is how we're gonna handle ALM for plans. If you only use plans in a developer environment to generate the assets and then you export those assets to another environment, or if the plan itself can become part of a solution file that we can then push it to different environments. Okay, so that wasn't clear. And then the other question that I had during this private preview is whether or not Plan Designer will become part of the Power Platform CLI, okay, or even the Power Platform Governance API, meaning that in the same way that we can create tables and automation using the API, could we create a plan through the API? And the goal there would be you expose a form in your website, a customer register in that site, submits a problem statement or a brief explanation of what the project looks like. You would take that information, transform into a plan. Plan designer would then list out the persona, then create the data structure and the apps, and then you would send a link back to your customer automatically and say, hey, this is what we are thinking your solution looks like. Would you like to buy services from us, right? So it would change the game in terms of cold calls and discovery sessions and whatnot. You would start from a place that's it's a lot more evolved than having multiple discussions with the customer before arriving to this level of automation. Okay, any questions so far? Comments? Are you wild or you don't think this is going to be useful? What is your impression on this? Any opinion is a good opinion. Any comment is it's fair game. Anybody wants to chime in? Maybe via mic or chat. What do you think? Do you think you're going to use this on your day-to-day activities? What is your opinion? Do you think there is an opportunity here, Salio, in the real life market? What do you guys think?
It depends. It depends. Probably yes, as the product is more mature. I think so, at least for the boilerplate. The question is, it will be more trouble or will get more time. Do you need then more time to fix the data model and all the things, as we have a strict architecture? And how fast can we change the things around? If that is not possible or is taking too long, if the application is small, probably there is a lot of people that will choose to waste some more time and do the things as they wanted.
Yeah, for me, a game changer to this technology would be for us to be able to edit this model before we committed the creation of tables, and even to refer to existing tables, and for us to compose what a table looks like. That to me would be a game changer. Because again, all of us start the project here creating, well, we when it comes to Power Platform, a lot of the work is spent in defining the model. So if they allow us um, to edit the contents of this designer, then I think this would be great. And even for us to interact with Copilot in how it generates data, sample data. If we tell Copilot, maybe localize this to a particular country, maybe add a column to do this, that, and the other, calculated field to do this one thing, right? Then I think it would be great. Mark, you have your hands up. Thanks, Elio, for your input. Mark, you have your hands up. What do you think?
My opinion on this is that AI's been around with the chat GPT for about 2 years now. And at first, like, we were seeing copilots who were handling individual components, And now with this, it kind of seems like we might be seeing a Copilot that could handle them all. So yes, it is still very elementary, but it is a beginning, and eventually, in the future, it could become really powerful.
Yeah, now I agree with you as well. It's the merge of all copilots when it comes to Power Platform, and I like it. It's been my beef with Power Pages. You know, when you go to Power Pages and you ask to provision a site, it disregards everything that exists in the environment, in the Dataverse environment, or even in the site. So you go to an existing site and then you say create a page or create a form to do this. It pushes away. Now it's changing, but it pushes away every knowledge of the data structure, and creates things that are out of context, right? So with this solution, and as it evolves, to your point, and I mean to Celio's point, if we are able to leverage what's there, and if we are able to tweak, this initial version of the data model, or even save the data model the data model then becomes maybe an asset of the solution that we can play with, and we can commit the data model changes to Dataverse. I think, man, this is gonna be a game changer. You know, I really believe if they go down that path. All right. Um, Let me see what other question. There is a comment here from CEO. CEO, I only see your initials, so I'm not sure what your name is. So I'll refer to you as CEO. He's saying it will save a lot of time when you're starting off a project, for sure. It's good for biz analysts, yes. And it helps them, and also I think it helps developers to understand the data and the business scenario as well. So I have real hopes for Plan Designer, especially this data workspace. I think this is going to be great. Celio, you have additional comments?
Yes, just one question. Can you already add existing tables from Dataverse to this designer?
Not yet, not yet. But this designer is similar to what I presented last week when we were looking at Copilot for Dataverse. In that designer, you can make changes to the proposed tables, but you cannot yet add existing tables to this ERD. Now, I saw a post from Scott Duro, and by the way, he's going to be with us next week talking about more Copilot features for professional developers, and in which he's giving high praises to this interface and whatnot, but also highlighting that it has that particular weakness, which is it doesn't allow us to add existing tables to the designer. So I assume that it's coming. That particular feature is coming. Okay. All right. So next here, just to put everything that we spoke about so far from lesson one, talking about the various AI tools, how they can assist us in our day-to-day activities. I showed to you what I would do in generating project management documents with assets that um, the Power Apps Plan Designer gave me, and also building a solution. The next thing could be that we wanted to create a Copilot to assist our employees as they go through their journey, as submitting time and asking for overtime and whatnot. So we're gonna access Copilot Studio. And I should make sure I use proper terminology. We are not creating a Copilot. We are creating a Copilot agent. Sorry, Microsoft. I have to make sure I keep up with the name changes. All right, so here I'll make sure that I am in the right environment, okay? and I'll give it a prompt. And the prompt for my Copilot should be fairly simple. I want to support employees while filing work logs, out of the office notification, submitting overtime forecast. But I also want to include common references to US labor laws and regulations. Now, this experience is going to guide me through creating a Copilot. You saw in the presentation from Gita and also Daniel Christian how this works. You're just engaging in natural language conversation with this Copilot Studio for Copilot agent creation, and you can add input to it. So it took my prompt and said, okay, the agent is now set up. What would you like to call it? So I'll call it Stuart, the employee buddy. You notice that it's going to change the name of the agent. All right. It's asking me to refine the instruction. What should I emphasize? I wanted to emphasize on US labor laws and regulations. How do you want it to communicate with your employees? I'll make it casual for now. It may be different for your use case. Okay, what references should this agent use when responding to your customer's employee? Right now, I'm gonna use the Department of Labor uh, law reference. If I had an FAQ information from my company, I could use it there, or even policies that are available in SharePoint, I could reference as a PDF document or source for my agent. I don't have any further refinements. I see. No. Let's create the agent. Also, if you're familiar with how agent setup work, you could have skipped and configure it manually, but it's doing a lot of the manual work here through conversation. So I think it helps a lot. All right, so I will confirm here that I want to use this website as reference. Click create. And my bot's ready. I can test it. Please provide information on overtime regulation, US regulations. All right, so it gave me information. We are good to go. Okay, few things here that I want to include in our lesson for today that I don't think Gita and Daniel had time to cover. This part is very, very important, okay? Especially for folks who are going to work with, will build agents that interact with Dynamics 365 for customer service. So maybe you want to set up integration between Copilot agents and Dynamics 365 customer service, the omni-channel module, where conversation starts on a website in the agent chat area, and the agent's engaging with that particular user, and you want to transfer that conversation over to omni-channel. If that conversation started as a phone call, you can set up voice services in this agent. So it's going to leverage everything that you said about the sources of information for your agent. In my example, I use the US Department of Labor website. So it will reference that information, use voice to engage in a conversation with your customer or your customer's customer in this particular example, and you can actually allocate some of that exchange into variables that can be transferred over to Dynamics 365 customer service if this particular exchange is transferred to a real human agent. All right. So I don't have it all set up in my environment because I don't have 365 for customer service, but there is very thorough documentation available on what you can do, how you can set up, silence detection and calculate timeout if that particular exchange or the call is silent for 30 seconds, to drop it or to respond with audio to the customer saying, hey, are you still there? Is there anything else that you want me to help you? But more important than those settings, I think that it's super cool that audio information can be captured into variables. All right. And that is translated to text that you can then store in your Dynamics 365 instance. I think I lost the link here, but if you are looking into enabling voice in your agents, I'll drop the link here and you can get started there. There are some requirements before you can turn that on. But you'll be able to do that. All the details are available, and you can leverage pretty much low code integration between Copilot agents using audio to hand over information to your Dynamics 365 customer service workload. All right. So far, so good. Any questions, additional comments, concerns? Was this useful? Any kind of feedback you want to give me while we're still live? All right. If you still want to provide feedback, you can do it later. You can send me an email. I would appreciate that. Okay, let's close in on this one. And I know that some folks joined us a little bit later in the game. I will show you how we got to this particular interface. So again, I have a developer environment. This environment is set up to the US area or region rather, and I have flagged in my environment that I wanted to accept the latest and greatest change fast, in a faster pace. So that particular setting is available. Let me go here and show you if you are creating a new environment. So this is how you do new features early. You want to enable that in your environment. Again, mine is a developer environment with that particular flag enabled. Okay. So once you have that environment, you're going to access the make.preview.powerapps.com. This little extra item here is also available, if I'm not mistaken, in the Power Pages website. So when you wanna experience the latest features, you can get it there. So with that, you would have access to this option, connect to Git option. And I believe Starkey had a comment about that. Maybe with those options, you'll be able to access it now. If not, we can look at that after this call is over. And then the second part of it, you'll notice this Plan Designer option being available here. It's available for me because I got a solution file from Microsoft as part of the private preview to install this particular solution. It's called Power Apps Plan Gen. I would assume that, now that Plan Designer is getting into public preview, that this solution is going to be installed from the get-go from Microsoft. So you wouldn't need to install it manually. I'll get information as to when public preview is going to be made available and if I am authorized to share that solution file with you. And if that's the case, let me know if you want to get access to the zip file. I'll most likely drop it in this classes folder, and you'll be able to install it there. With that, you'll be able to add a prompt, and I'll get a simple prompt here and get started with Plan Designer. So this is a secondary prompt just to show what the interface looks like. This is to build a mentee mentorship solution. And when I submit, it starts Plan Designer, and the rest of the details is what you were presented just a few minutes back. Okay. So what's on me to decide now is see if Microsoft authorizes me to make that solution public, and then you'd be able to play with Plan Designer. And again, if you can provide feedback, comments, tell me what's working on the mentorship, what's not, so that we can improve. All right. Next week for lesson 7, we're gonna have Scott Duro. He's gonna be talking about GitHub Copilot and potentially a bit of Azure OpenAI integration with some of the low-code tools such as Copilot Studio. And then the very last lesson is a lesson with Mark Smith. He'll be talking broadly about AI in the tech industry, and also will provide some pointers as to where you can go from here, meaning what certs, what courses you can take to highlight your AI skills and improve your careers. Okay, so that is the end goal. 2 more lessons. Hang in there. We're gonna end just the week before Christmas, and you're gonna have your break. You're gonna have time to enjoy the Christmas break with your family. All right. Finally, if any of you that is in this call live in the U.S., precisely in Florida. I'll be in Florida the week of the holidays. We're gonna be hosting Power Pages workshop there in Florida. So if you live in the area, you want to take part of it, let me know, and we'll make it possible for you to join. All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate your time and being here with me. It's been great. We'll see you next week.